Nomsa, I feel that one way of getting people to feel they belong is if they are still learning and continue to have their minds open to new ideas. How did you manage that in your school?
Oh, what is really happening, not really happening, but what you realize when you are dealing with a team, you will find that you have got groups who have got false ideas, who have got unfounded prejudice, or old school. People will tell you, have been here for so long, and who are you to tell me that? But it means you are faced with that, that you need to change that mindset, because you cannot work with people who are not informed. What is important is that you have to work with them as informed, and information doesn't mean that it comes from you, but all of us, we should learn, as Tessa said, we should learn from one another, and then create, as we have been saying, create a conducive atmosphere for these people so that they can develop. Because it's not only your growth, it's for the growth as an individual, and so for the school itself. And then at the end of the day, we are having quality teaching and learning. Because you start questioning, and in what I'm doing, I'm teaching. Is there any learning that is taking place? That is very important. Or you are just teaching. So it means those are the discussions that you need to put together when you are together and say, where are we? Where do we go wrong? There's this and that, having identified all that. Then people will come contributing. If only this can be done, then you can feel that people are
That's a wonderful answer you've given, and I asked you that deliberately because you ran one of the more successful schools in the Philippi area with some wonderful results in the systemics and so on. So you manage, and I know you did, that you got many folk into your school from outside who could give added knowledge to your teachers, and you managed to get them to welcome them with open arms. And that's, I'm sure, one of the reasons why your school did so well. Ongoing learning, Paul? Important to make people feel they belong? And to go back to Manchester United again, they obviously don't play the same tactics they did 10 years ago.
No, certainly. One thing I'd like to share is we ran a reasonably successful school, and we had a neighboring school from another city that came to find out what was special about our school. They spent 3 days there, and they said to us, our schools are very similar, but there's one thing that's just very special, and that's in a girls' school, as you will have had experience now, and that's the way the girls themselves work together. And I think that's a great example to us, that learners themselves can work together particularly well, and it raises their abilities considerably. But it's so important for teachers to work together. And teachers, especially in South Africa over the years, we've been in an isolated classroom sense. That we don't easily teach with the classroom door open. We don't easily invite people in. We don't easily watch somebody else teach. And that sort of mindset needs, that opening, free mindset is the one way that ongoing learning will really take place.
Yeah, if you take the ongoing learning, a quick answer to it is the principal must take the lead in showing that he or she is always learning and researching, providing resources or references that the educators can follow, and not doing workshops in your school merely for the sake of the QMS points, but doing it based on the SIP, the school improvement plan that you have, and focusing on that to say, this is our need, we're going to learn about that in the process, and not just doing workshops for the sake of workshops.
Interesting principles leading. Tessa, do you think that you can have a positive ethos in a school without it being led by the principal?
without it being led by the principal.
Yes. Do you think the principal actually leads a positive culture?
I think the principal is only a part of a school, Keith. I don't think the principal is this school in any way whatsoever. I truly believe that the whole school, that a school is an entire entity. It's just like with your family as a mother, you're the mother of the family, but the family's there. It's exactly the same sort of thing. The person who sweeps the garden path, as it were, is as important as the maths teacher in a school.
Accept that, but the person who sweeps the garden path isn't going to lead the process.
No, nor is the maths teacher necessarily going to lead the process. I think that the head teacher, the person who needs to be part of the leading of the process, is probably the head teacher, because it's the easiest way for other people to accept what's happening. But in the end, no, I disagree. I don't think it is the head alone. Well, it's certainly not the head alone ever.
Paul?
I agree with Tessa, but it's important to set a tone.
Yeah, but it is important to set a tone.
And if you're in a staff room, it's the principal who brings the tone to the classroom, who allows a certain atmosphere in which people give of their best. And I think that obviously the great teacher is much more important than a principal. And we need as many great teachers as possible. But I don't think you can underestimate the influence that a principal has on setting a positive climate in a school.
Yeah, that is so if the entire school accepts and works towards that common vision.
Yeah, that's our thing.
Once they have that common vision, then you're not saying, you're going to lead. No, the principal will steer the process, but they all have bought in and will then contribute in their own way.
And that demands good communication. How did you communicate at Heathfield?
Well, I think if you first take communication is sharing the ideas, the views and whatever in a way to your staff. Yeah. There's the thing about it's information you're sharing, and knowledge is what you know. Wisdom is when you share it.
When you share.
And so to me, that was almost a valuable tool that I had, because I don't believe that I was that wonderful orator, but I knew that when I stand in staff meetings, I made sure that they would speak out on the topic. I would be the keen listener. And throughout that process, I would pick up all the views to see how close it is to the one that I have about the issue. And so a silent listener is a good communicator.
And it's your school, Nomsa?
No, I was going to say what's more helping in communicating is the SMT, the departments, in a smaller groups. So it means by the time you met as ESMT and you discuss an issue, and then it's taken to the departments, different departments, then it helps, because by the time you meet as the whole, as the school, as the whole staff, then you know that this has been communicated and everyone has got it. And then also the response will be, for instance, in my school, when we are about to close the school, we'll have reports from the HODs. How have you seen the term? What were the challenges? And what is it now that you need to look at? And what were the successes? And then it means as for me, it helps me, they feed me of the rest that what is happening in the school. So I would know from each department that, oh, okay, this is what, and then I also start sharpening my saw.
Sharpening the saw, yes, okay. Right, let's finish up with I think we've all ran schools for 120 odd years, not each, but the one thing that I think the common factor that probably went through our schools was humor. I think it would be impossible to run a school without humor. Paul, you start. And then all of us have a go at answering that one.
You need to get teachers to feel comfortable telling their own stories in the staff room. You'll only get humor if people are willing to share theirs. Real school humor, not jokes. But also, I just want to mention that I spent 2 years in the Free State speaking in school staff rooms. And a happy, positive staff room is an actual rarity in South Africa. It's not something that you see easily. So it's so very important. I wrote a letter recently, when the tough get going, the smart lighten up. And that flattening of the hierarchy in a school is important, I think.
Derek?
Well, I'm laughing because
Good, it's the right topic.
just an article that I went through once, it says, we always said that frowning uses more muscle than smiling. And the thing is, it says 43 muscles used to frown and 17 to smile. And physicians say it's wrong. That's folklore. It says 12 muscles to smile and only 11 to frown. And I found it a bit strange, because I happen to go to my staff room and in the mornings do the briefing. And unfortunately, my children first say to me, "Dad, you must smile on the photo." I find it difficult. I don't know why. So I go to my staff rooms and I do the briefing. And one morning I went back and there was a little cartoon behind me on the board saying, "Tell your face." When I said, "Have a good morning," but his face was like that. That was humor to them, but it got a message through.
I had a little bell I used to ring to be able to get the staff together. And when they really wanted to talk a little bit longer, they used to put the bell up out of my reach. I couldn't reach it.
Yeah. Is that your frowning face now, or your smiling face?
You have to be the judge.
Norma, sir, humor important in Siazaka?
Yes, a lot. So, for instance, there was one teacher, he was new to the school. During the period here, what is this? Systematic. We are told to arrange our desk in a snake form, ne? And he did the snake with the desk, and they could find everyone is walking up and down, and and coming back laughing, and I could say, "No, principal, go in that room and see." And you know, it was something that it helps, because we felt that this is where we are and this is where we spend most of our time. So we need to be happy here.
Yeah, you know, we're in a school, Tessa, and there are just so many young people who are full of life and full of energy. We actually should be laughing 95% of the time, because what they do is so funny. And unintentionally, a lot of the time, intentionally, some of the time. I was told when I started teaching, I was still a student teacher, one of the principals I was at that school said, keep a book, write things down of all the instances. I wish I had. But it's just in any day in a school, you could just laugh. Did you laugh at St. Sips?
I laughed non-stop at St. Cyprian's because I laughed because of the way in which I was taught as a first-year teacher, when I had the privilege to teach with Richard Dudley at Livingston High School in my very first year of teaching. And he asked me a question which I've never forgotten and which I've used at countless meetings and things. He said to me, "What do you love teaching best, Tess?" And I said, "I really love teaching poetry." And he said, "Can you do it well in this classroom?" I said, "Well, I would do it better in a field of flowers." And he looked at me and he said, "Oh, that's interesting." That was on a Friday. When I got to school on the Monday, the children in my class had painted the entire ceiling filled with yellow poppies and yellow flowers to say, "There you are." And that was Mr. Dudley. He taught me that if you care about people, you'll get there.
Yeah, I think I've learned more lessons through humor in a school than anything else. Right, we've, I think, overstayed our limit a little bit. Can I just ask you in 10 seconds each to finish up with a tip you would like to give an aspiring headmaster or aspiring principal? What one tip would you like to give? Can we just go in order? Norm, sir?
I would say it's cold up there, and be part of the team. At the end of the day, we are all teachers. So it's just a title that we are given doesn't make you different from others. So be part of the team. Then you will enjoy your principalship.
And embrace the warmth of your friends. Yeah. Tessa, one tip.
I can't add much to NOMSA because that was exactly what it's all about. But I might say, as you start this year, remember that it's the starting of a new beginning, and working together is the only way you're going to get there. So work with your team and get your team to work with you because you like them and enjoy them.
And it's less cold with your friends.
And it's less cold with your friends. Thanks, Nobs.
Keith, I'd just like to make the point that there are 5 of us principals together, and I'd like to urge any principal, don't try and do it without 5 principals around you. Get a team of other principals, meet with them just like this on an ongoing basis, because no one will be able to help you more than somebody else doing your job.
And the final word.
Simple. Just be fair to all and allow them to trust you.
Right, well, thank you very much. Well, now we've come to the end of this, and my overwhelming feeling, and do you feel the same, is I'd like to run a school again. You've got so many tips here, so many gems, that I hope you take them and that you move forward with them. I'd like to finish up by just telling you that we've been talking about culture. And culture comes from a Latin word, collo, which means I worship. Now I ask every leader out there who's running a school or involved in some aspect of leadership in a school, to what extent are you helping promote the culture of the school? What do you all worship? What do you all take as being important? And if you promote the culture of the school, everything else will come. You'll get the results, you'll get the happy staff, and teaching will be really rewarding. And you look back, or running a school will be really rewarding. And you look back at it one day and say, that was fun.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Keith.
And now you can have a drink of water. You're all too nervous.